Oh my God, welcome to my first ever podcast episode. I mean, thanks for being here, honestly. If you are watching this and you not already know who I am, you will already know that this this has been a long time coming. And when I say a long time coming, I don't mean I've been thinking about this for a few weeks and I've wanted to do it for a while. I've been thinking about this for years, okay? And actually, even to the point where a few weeks ago, I was like, that's it. I'm doing it. I'm releasing the podcast. I put a release date out. Didn't record the podcast. Did not record the podcast. So here I am, off the cuff, recording my first ever episode. And listen, we're going in absolutely rogue here because there is no intro, no outro, no real description of the podcast yet. But I feel like these things will come, I feel like ideally as well, obviously this is being recorded, but that's because at the minute my technological knowledge of uploading podcasts is very limited. So the easiest way for me to do this is to just record it and get it on YouTube. And as you know, imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. So I'm just doing the thing I said I was going to do. So yeah, for those that don't know me, hello. I'm Demi. I am 27. I'm getting married this year. And yeah, I want to make this podcast primarily because I have just been on a recent diagnosis, and I feel like I should have felt how I didn't feel. So like, what I was expecting to get out of this was not what I actually got out of it. And I just feel like my experience is not a unique experience at all. So I just think it's really important for me to share my experience, primarily in the hope that it actually helps someone. It's like this podcast is called Doing My Flipping Best. I don't know if I can swear because this is going on YouTube, but I can't not swear because it's me. The podcast is called Doing My Fucking Best. And it's all about helping you to feel a little bit normal about whatever you've got going on right now. And then secondly, trying to give you a little bit of help with whatever's going on in any way that I can. Warning, I'm not a professional. This is just my lived experience as a girl going through some stuff. So yeah, I feel like let me dive into it. So I have recently been diagnosed with ADHD, autism, and potentially also dyslexia. Love that for me. First of all, I want to maybe go for a little bit of why I bothered getting diagnosed, what was the point, and I just felt like it was really hard for me to do normal shit. I just could see, and I know obviously you compare yourself on social media and whatever, but I just felt like my friends and stuff would do other things and they seemed to be able to do things that I just couldn't fucking do as easily as them, or I would just get so chronically overwhelmed that I couldn't organise my thoughts, and I would get really upset. And I would just feel so overwhelmed. I'd get so upset and I'd be like, I can't think straight. I can't organise my thoughts. I can't decide which thing that I'm thinking about is the most important thing that I should be thinking about right now so that I can make steps to do something. Oh, I used to just get such in a tiz, and 100% my cycle affects this. I am a woman, so I have monthly cycles. Obviously, everyone should know that. That 100% affects the severity of my symptoms. But yeah, I just got to a point and I just thought, you know what? The amount of times that I get chronically overwhelmed doesn't feel okay. It doesn't feel normal. And it got to a point where I wasn't enjoying my life. And everybody would make a joke, oh, you're always busy, you're always doing something, you're always whatever. And of course, I would relate to every single social media video that got uploaded to TikTok or Instagram or whatever about having ADHD. And I used to always think, oh, that's so funny, I do all them things. But yeah, and I used to get so chronically overwhelmed that I just couldn't enjoy my life. I felt like I was just on this roller coaster of chaos, really, and it was becoming too much. And in the past I'd thought about it, but I'd always thought, well, there's no point getting a diagnosis because I don't have any intention of doing anything about it. I don't want medication or anything like that. And I reached a point in my life and I thought, you know what? Actually, I will try medication. I had to pause the video because some suits got delivered for the wedding. So I had reached a point in my life and I thought, you know what? I don't want it to be this hard anymore. I actually would be willing to try medication. So for that reason, I'm going to go down the route of getting a diagnosis. I tried to get a diagnosis through the NHS. I got put on a wait list. I'm still on a wait list with the NHS. Wasn't really getting anywhere with that. So I went private. I got an assessment for ADHD. So I had my assessment with this guy. It was mainly just a conversation, to be honest, where he asked me about my childhood and things like that. And my mum was there, so yeah, he was just asking me about certain things, and then at the end he concluded, he was like, okay, Demi, he was like, so I do think you present with symptoms of ADHD. And I was like, all right, okay. And he's like, and also symptoms of autism. And I was like, what? And he's like, and I also think you could be dyslexic. And I was like, pardon? I thought, well, at least I've got my money's worth because I've paid for this. But also, what do you mean? I thought I came for ADHD. I came for ADHD. I didn't come for autism or dyslexia. So obviously the dyslexia would be something that I think you actually have to go and get tested and stuff. It's just like a presumption. But the ADHD and the autism thing, I was just like, what? So I'd been watching TikToks and stuff prior to going to this appointment. I'd been watching TikToks prior to going to this appointment, and I had just been watching people's TikToks, and it was like, oh my God, I feel so relieved. I feel like I understand so much more now, and I feel like everything makes so much sense. And in my head, right, I was going to walk out of this appointment for this diagnosis, and there was going to be the clouds would separate and the sun would shine down on me and the birds would be tweeting and it would be like, oh, and I was just going to be walking around on clouds, just this person that just understood themselves so much and just knew so much about themselves. That's not what I got. That's not what I got to any extent, and I'm going to talk about what actually happened for me, because I really went in with the expectation that this is going to make everything make so much sense. I feel like I'd been set up that this is how it was going to go for me, and that just wasn't how it's going to go. So first of all, I feel like I went through a phase of feeling a bit embarrassed, and just being a bit I don't know, it was really hard at first to accept. I really, really strongly felt like there was something wrong with me. I didn't feel like it answered questions. I didn't really feel like it answered anything. I felt like it just brought so many other unknown things, unknown questions that I just didn't have the answer to. It took me a long time to I'm still not really coming to terms with it fully, because I'm still not fully accepting of it. And until I accept it, once I accept it, I can learn ways to manage it better. But at the minute, I just feel like I'm attention seeking. I feel like I'm kind of made this up. I feel like I've given myself the symptoms because I've watched too many TikTok videos about it. Which is just not true. This is my fucking lived experience. But people say things a lot as well, and people are always like, oh, everybody's got a bit of something. Alright. But they just haven't. I know they say autism is a spectrum. And obviously some people in variable places on the spectrum. Some people aren't on the spectrum. And that's fine, that is absolutely fine, but it just discredits my experiences so much when people say things like that, because it just makes me think, all right, okay, well, so at the minute I've got meds and I'm I don't even know whether to take the meds. I feel like I'm not autistic enough. Obviously there's no meds for autism, my meds for ADHD, but I feel like I'm not ADHD enough to need medication. I'm not enough of anything. I'm not normal enough to succeed with normal things, but I'm not ADHD enough to be like fucking frantically all over the place all the time. I'm not autistic enough because I can maintain a relative level of like some eye contact, like, and I've always been like a sociable person, so I feel like the first thing that I got was just like, I just felt so lost because I just thought, I just don't understand this. Like, I don't understand the world through this lens. And honestly, at times it just felt really lonely. Which obviously, like, oh, how can you be lonely when everybody's got ADHD? But I have just felt like actually really lonely. I'm talking about this now in the hope that people will be like, oh my God, I felt the same, and it will bring them some level of comfort. I've just felt a bit lonely and a bit lost and a bit confused and just a bit like, not really knowing what to do with this information. I feel like somebody's like knocked on my door, dropped me off like a freaking, I don't know, like a murder weapon almost. You know, something that like they've left this murder weapon at my house, and I'm like, well, I can't tell the police. They've said don't tell the police because then you'll be in trouble. And I'm like, well, I can't tell the police because then I'll be in trouble with something. But I can't touch it because then I'll be in trouble with something. But I can't leave it here because if the police come, I'll be in trouble with something. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, I've just been given this thing, and then just like, see ya. And I'm like, ah! So anyway, I have like, when I think back, I think, you know, did I struggle to have friends in school? Yes, I did. I've always struggled to have friends. I've always been an outsider. Like, people have always thought I was weird. Which is fine. I am a bit weird. Well, I just think other people are really boring. And like, I think back to school and I think, oh, but people with ADHD, they couldn't do school. And I was like, I wasn't like autistically talented. Like, I'm like fucking some genius. I wasn't. I did alright. But I used to get, oh my God, I used to get so overwhelmed. I used to have panic attacks so bad. I used to have to leave my lessons because I used to just think that I was going to fucking die every single day. I'd get these panic attacks that were so intense. And they just sent me to CBT. I kind of managed the panic attacks. But like that internal level of like fretting, like that internal, like, you know what I picture, you know, SpongeBob, there's a scene on SpongeBob and it's inside his brain and like they're all like, ah! Like setting things on fire. That's what it's like in this most of the time. like, oh, have you ever tried meditating? I think, meditating? I need I need medicating, not meditating. But yeah, and I just feel like it just left me in a little bit of a pit of despair. And I was just like, what the fuck? What the fuck do I do with this now? Like, what do I do with this now? Anyway, I booked an appointment to go and see my therapist. I have been going to see a therapist on and off for like probably 5 years. I love her. She is amazing. I pay £85 an hour, but it's the best £85 a month that I spend. And, you know, I was just talking to her and I just said, like, I'm actually finding it really hard because I thought I was going to get this diagnosis and be, like, so relieved and just like, oh, everything's so much better now I know this. And she actually said to me, she was like, Demi, she was like, I don't know a single person, she was like, including myself, that hasn't had this diagnosis and then gone through a time of, like, complete turmoil, basically, and just, like, it messes with your fucking life because it's literally like you being stood your whole life on this rug and then somebody just whipping it out from underneath you and being like, it's different now. And you're like, but yeah, which obviously was reassuring. And that made me feel even more like, oh my God, I feel like I want to talk about my experience now so much more because it obviously, this is not a unique experience. But for some reason, the voices that are the loudest are the voices that are very like, oh, this will be great for you, this will make your life so much better, da, da, da. And I don't doubt that in time I will get to that point. But what I'm saying is, I'm saying from the day of diagnosis, I'm saying give it 2 years, like, before you, like, really, I'm like, okay, this is how I'm going to live my life now, and this is how things are going to work for me better now. And I said to her, I just feel like if I tried harder, then I wouldn't be like this. Which is ridiculous. I wouldn't say that to anyone else, but for myself, I feel like me saying that I've got ADHD or I've got autism is me making an excuse for, like, my laziness, or that I'm just not putting enough effort in, or if I put more effort in, I'll be able to do it. And she just said to me, she was like, Demi, you wouldn't tell somebody without any legs to try harder to walk. And I thought, no, I wouldn't, actually. Like, I just simply would not say that. And she made a point, which is something that I think I'm going to carry with me, and I think it will benefit other people as well. She said to me, she was like, you can do all the things you want to do. It's just that doing them in the way you've been doing them costs you too much. And I thought, holy fucking shit. Like, she's right. I can do all the things I've wanted to do, but it leaves me in like a heap of like at the end of it, because I've just it burns my tank empty to do it in that way. I can do it, but getting to that point uses so much of me to do it. I just need to find a different way to do it. It doesn't mean that I can't do it. And this is the point I'm at the moment. And when I was like writing notes for this podcast and stuff, I had like the image in my head that was like, you know, if you ever meet a little kid, right? I don't know why you would fucking meet a little kid randomly, but if you ever meet a little kid and the kid's like, oh, just a bit of a cunt, kid's annoying, like, and you just think, oh god, that kid's so annoying. And then someone would say to you, oh, you know, they're actually going for a real hard time at home, like this and this happening in the home life. And then you think, oh my god, like, oh, no wonder that kid is annoying. And then you see them you see them through a different light, you see them with more compassion, and maybe the kid then lets his guard down with you, and you actually think, oh, it's actually a pretty sound kid. It just comes across like a bit of an arsehole at first. You are both of them people now in this situation. Like, you are the adult and you are the little kid. And if you imagine you're the adult now, getting to look at yourself as the little kid and be like, you know what, you were actually never any of them things that I thought you were. You were never lazy. You were never like weird. You was never like a bad friend because you forgot birthdays. You've got ADHD and you've got autism, so something's difficult for you. So birthdays, I will always struggle to remember people's birthdays. Doesn't mean I don't love my friends. Like, I'm a really good friend. I just forget birthdays. I forget to text people back. I forget loads of shit, but I'm good at other things, and that's what I mean. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, you now get the chance to re-look at your life and be like, okay, well, actually, that I understand why I might struggle with doing that. If I try it this way, I might find that easier. So yeah, I just think one of the biggest things as well that I took from my therapy session was she was like, you're still you. Like, you're still the same person you were before you got this diagnosis. Now you just get to figure out how to do things that are going to help you the most. And I'm like, you know what? You're not wrong. And there's things that I've taken on board, like, actually practically, that I think could be helpful to people. Like, I used to never sit still, but I would I think it's like stimming, isn't it? But I would move my toes inside my shoes, or I would move my tongue around inside my mouth. And now, like, if I'm in a situation and I feel a bit uncomfortable, I would just sway side to side because I find it really comforting. And it helps me to do that. Do other people think I'm weird? I don't care. Like, even that, like, it's just comforting for me to do that. So, and like, if I'm ever doing it, sometimes Sam will come up to me and they're like, you okay? Like, you're swaying a lot. Because sometimes I do that because I'm a bit overwhelmed and I'll just be like, I'm fine. And he'll be like, okay. It's just something I do. Like, I feel more, now I actually have that thing, I feel almost more justified to do things more visually. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm less bothered about making people feel uncomfortable because if anyone's saying anything, I'm like, oh yeah, I have autism, so I find it a bit easier to do that. Or, oh yeah, I'm ADHD, so actually I'm not very good at sitting still. But yeah, I've always internalized those things so much because I've always wanted to be like a good girl. I've never wanted to let people down. I've always wanted to appear to be doing fine, like I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. I've not been fine at times, like, and that's cool. I'm gonna relearn things now, and that's not to say that I'm gonna be fine all the time. I'm not. Like, that's not how you learn lessons, is it? But yeah, what I would love is for people to actually be able to take something from this episode. This is like my pilot episode. This is like, get to know me. And like I said originally, I actually had no intention of ever really mentioning about me having ADHD or me having autism. Like, I had zero intention in speaking about it. But then I just thought, no, because I feel like, why am I not speaking about it? I'm not speaking about it because I feel a bit embarrassed and I feel a bit like I'm worried about people judging me. But I've really needed a little bit of help. And I would have really benefited from somebody being there to say some of the things that I'm saying right now. So I would love to be able to help people with that. So yeah, I would love if you could take from this episode. The first thing that I would love for you to take is that you don't have to feel relieved. Like, please let that go. Like, literally take a deep breath and just let go of the pressure you feel right now to feel relieved from this diagnosis if you've got one. Let go of the pressure if you're waiting for a diagnosis. Let go right now of the pressure you're putting on yourself that it's going to answer all your problems. It's probably going to create a lot of problems first. Just be ready for that. I'm not saying don't do it. Do it because the end result's going to be fine. But what I'm saying is, like, strap in because it's going to be a bumpy ride. Like, just expect that and that's fine. Like, you're literally turning your whole life upside down. It's going to create a little bit of mess. But what is it? You can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. So, literally, your diagnosis, I feel, is the breaking of the egg. And then figuring everything out around that is actually like making the omelette. It's putting a bit of butter in the pan, bit of salt, bit of pepper. Top tip, actually, for anyone that's interested and likes cauliflower cheese. Cottage cheese. Cottage cheese in an omelette, mate, chef's kiss. It makes it like creamy and cheesy and delicious. Loads of protein added, not too many calories. So you're welcome for that one. Yeah, and another top tip I can give, like, please, for the love of God, go and see a therapist. Like, I know that not everybody's got the means to do that. If you have, please do it. Like, it's so worth it. And if you've done it and it wasn't right for you, you might not have had the right therapist. Like, I see therapy as, you wouldn't, like, I don't think twice between having a coach for the gym because I want to do a certain thing. They're the professional in that. They're going to help me do it. I just see therapy as like a brain coach. Like, I will go to my therapist and I will say, I need some help with this, and she will help me do it. Like, I just don't know why everybody doesn't do it. It just does not make sense to me that people would, like, not do it. What? Anyway, another top tip of mine would be, please go and see a therapist. Another top tip is reach out to other people who've been through what you've been through. Like, I'm really lucky that my mum had also had a recent ADHD diagnosis, so we've kind of been on the same journey. A lot of my friends, not coincidentally, are diagnosed, so, you know, I've had them to lean on. So, and the last thing I would just say, just give yourself a little bit of time to adjust and just let it happen. Like, just let this chaos kind of ensue your life, because sometimes I just feel like things have to go, like, weird before you can, like, reach the next level. And then that level gets a bit weird, and then you go to the next level, and then that level gets a bit weird. Do you know what I mean? But this is just part of where you're at right now, and it's messy. It's a little messy, and that's fine. Like, it doesn't have to be anything that it's not. It's absolutely fine if you just don't feel fucking fine, because you know what? We are all just doing our fucking best. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of all I wanted to talk about today. I just wanted to talk about my experience of getting a diagnosis. It's been fucking shit. It's been really shit. It's been really hard. It's been a real difficult time for me. It's been a hard time for me. Anyway, yeah, this has been a hard time for me. That's just my truth, okay? I'm not here to whinge. I'm hopefully just here to help other people just feel like that is fine and feel a bit normal, feel a little bit understood. So yeah, next week's episode, I would love you to join me again. Next week's episode, I'm going to be talking about intrusive thoughts, okay? Because what the fuck are intrusive thoughts? Seriously, they are a wild ride. But yeah, I'm going to talk about intrusive thoughts because I just feel like sometimes they really can control your life, and I'm not going to dive into it now. Next week's episode is going to be about intrusive thoughts. I would love some feedback on this episode. I feel like it's very much been about me. But yeah, like, I would love a little bit of feedback. If you enjoyed the episode, like, subscribe, comment, I don't know. Yeah, just let me know what you thought. I would love your thoughts. And I actually would love to know if this has been any help to anyone. I really hope it has. I hope this whole podcast, right, benefits someone in some way, because otherwise I feel like it's just going to be me sharing all the most fucking embarrassing parts of my life for no reason. So hopefully this is beneficial to people. Otherwise, I'm literally just... No, it's going to help people. It's going to help people. Okay, right. Well, thank you for watching. And I'll see you next week, I guess.